Look at our girl Lori right on the spot. Hey, Lori.
D Mecca.
What's up, D? Hey. You just love listening to this song, don't you? Okay. How are you tonight, guys? Set up your watch party. Spread us around. It's our Father's Day show. And we're just going to hang out with you for a little while because we know you all have things to do. So it's not going to be the mega long show that you're used to. Just a little bit. So come on and spend some time with us. Yes. I see that you don't want to play my theme song, but that's okay, because this is cool too. I know you love this one. Yes. Alrighty, 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 alrighty. Hello. Oh, you and your applause and your buttons. Happy Father's Day. Thanks so much for joining us. You're with ESP Speaks, although we're popping up on the Real Discussion Network. You know, that's Rocky's doing here. He wanted to say hi to all of the dads, and we're going to shout out to everybody that we possibly can. This is going to be a short show tonight. We're just going to relax and chill, and you guys call in. We're going to open up the phone lines in about 20 minutes, but we want to get some appreciation out of the way. Remember that if you can't listen to us all the way through tonight, you can catch us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Twitcher, YouTube, and of course we're on Facebook Live right now, and you'll be able to eventually pick us up on Instagram. You can give us a call tonight if you have some time at 908-242-6234. As I said, we're going to be opening the phone lines in about 20 minutes. You can find us on Instagram at ESP Real Talk, and on Facebook we're at ESP Speaks. And you can also email us at www.espspeaks@gmail.com. And we're happy to be with you again another week. We're kind of tired. If you hear us this evening, you're going to hear us moving a little slow. It's been a long day. We've been out teaching since 4:30 this morning, and we're kind of dragging. But the grand boss insisted that we come on because, you know, it's Father's Day. Well, tomorrow is Father's Day, and we, as I said, had a lot to say, and we're glad you're here. So we're going to be talking about the impact of a dad. And I got a dad sitting across from me. Hey, Dad, how are you?
Yeah, I'm in the house. Yeah, Dad's in the house. Yeah, it's Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you very much. It's all right. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
It would be appropriate to start with you. And you're going to help me talk about the state of the family after we talk about Daddy's Day. And you're going to handle all the comments online, right? You see any fathers out there that you want to shout out so far?
My man D Mecca, he's on.
D Mecca!
You know what I'm saying? D, what's up? I see my man Sky Gray is on. He joined in. Hiram Clark joined in.
All right.
Raphael Matos, he has a dog. He's a father.
What? Yeah, I guess puppies count. Puppies are important too.
Colossus is incredible.
Right. So we had put out why am I breaking up? We had put out several polls this week because we wanted to get you guys talking. But I want to ask you a question. If you're going to call in today, one of the questions that you can answer is, what kind of dad was your dad? Was he adventurous? Was he a disciplinarian? Was he a lot of fun? Did you have a good time? Did you have a good relationship with him? How did you grow up with him? What was the vibe like? So when you call in, if we ask you that, be prepared to answer. Or you can call in again when we open the phone lines and let us know about how your relationship with your dad was, especially the men. We want to hear from the ladies, but we really want to hear from the fathers, and we want to hear from anyone who wants to shout out their dad. Okay, so
Big shout out to my cousin Lolo. She's in the house.
hello,
Wow.
Lolo.
What's up, Lo? I see you.
That was a little redundant when I said that. Hey, Lo. Oh, my goodness. You know who I want to start out with, Rock?
Yeah, what?
One of our favorite listeners, and she's really close to me. I want to start out with a very special Happy Father's Day from Miss Cheryl Washington. Do you have that clip ready?
I do. Yeah, I have a clip from her. Hold
And
on
this
a
is
second.
to her dad, Benny Joe Washington. And we just want to throw this in and make sure she gets the, because she's here in New York and he's down south, and she's getting ready to go down, but she wants to make sure that he hears this. You ready with that?
Yep, here we go.
All right.
Happy Father's Day, Dad. To Mr. Benny Joe Washington, born in Allendale, South Carolina in 1942. The man stands 6'4", can shoot some hoops, tall, thin, and fine, and could talk your ear off, and could burn up a dance floor. Alzheimer has taken a lot of that away from you, but I still see it in your eyes. And I certainly still feel it in your footsteps when the Marvin Gaye song comes on. I look forward to seeing you, Dad, when I get down there. But in the meanwhile, I hope you have a great day that's filled with music and song and food, because you love to eat. And know that you are loved. Your 3 daughters love you. Your wife loves you. Your family loves you. And I know you're in there somewhere. And we love you.
Yes, that's Miss Cheryl Washington. And she's saying Happy Father's Day to her father, Benny Washington. And that's very special to us because Miss Cheryl has been with us from the beginning on all of the shows. Last year, she was involved in every show that we had. So we're sending you a Happy Father's Day, Benny. And we love you. And we love you, Miss Cheryl. And we love you girls down there. So have a great one. And at this point, I want to give a couple of Happy Father's Day shouts out myself to my brothers. Number 1, Boots on the Ground, Andy.
Andy.
Yeah. We got to say, Boots on the Ground, Andy.
Word up. Boots on the ground, Andy.
And
Got you.
that's Andy Soto, which is one of our co-hosts that fluctuates in and out of the show. And, of course, Uncle Lays. Got to say
No doubt. Lazy
Happy
Lays.
Father's Day to Uncle Lays.
He's out in Queens tonight, actually.
Is he? And Pastor Leo Cologne.
Yes, sir. My man Leo. What's up, Leo?
And, of
How was
course,
he calling? He's always fun.
He might. And Rock Logic, which of course you all know is MC Sticky, who's sitting straight across from me. And then a couple of my brothers that I just want to rattle off here: Daryl Wilson, David and Keith Turner, Chris Brown, Chris Saunders, Christopher Martin of Kid and Play, Dana Dane, which Dana McLeese, Omega Hilton, Roderick Dixon, Carlos Leone, Peter Felix, Xavier Vinnie Doughton, Ty Bowman, Buddha, David Porter, Adron Jenkins, Orlando LeBron, Collins Street, our favorite Al Pizarro. You got to get the claps in. Sloan Lucky and Pedro Latajati. Those are the fellas that are important in my life, and I just wanted to say Happy Father's Day right off the cuff. You know you'll hear from me tomorrow anyway, but Happy Father's Day as of now. You have any names you want to add to that, son?
Nah, they all know me. They know. Happy Father's Day to all my friends. I just, you know what? I got so many friends that it's like, I don't want to miss anybody and sort of like not say it. So all my homies, you know what I'm saying? We have dad talks, we have dad conversations. So happy Father's Day to all of them. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
they're all
awesome.
good dad. You just got to get it kind of like that.
Okay.
And I'm tired, so I don't want to miss anybody.
Yeah.
But, you miss me, man.
We kind
You
of
miss me, Dad,
are dragging today, but it's all good. It's all good. But you know what? I did have a poll out this week.
Oh, what
'cause,
was
you
it?
know,
What was it? This is interesting.
With Father's Day just 24 hours away, they were supposed to tell us something that their father taught them in the course of their life that still is relevant and makes a difference to them up until this day.
Ooh.
So we got a lot of them. I was really surprised, and some of them are really good, but I'm not going to use your full names. I'm just going to use your initials. Go.
No, I want to go first on this one.
Hey.
You know what? I want to go first on this
All right.
one.
Go right on ahead.
Because my dad was a pretty amazing guy. He was a businessman, right? And he owned a business called Sea Clear Maintenance, and it was a maintenance company that did cleaning contracts at the Statue of Liberty, LaGuardia Airport, World Trade Center, right? It was a multi-million-dollar business. So the thing that I guess that I got from my dad was, one, being a businessman. Mm-hmm. It was always, and because of that, it kind of, I don't know if this was a good or bad thing, but it jacked me up because I really couldn't hold a job unless I was the boss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was always that entrepreneurial spirit that my dad, I saw him do, and I saw him give other people jobs.
That's a wonderful
what I'm saying?
thing.
And he supported the community. He gave other people jobs and all that. And I held on to that, you know what I'm saying? And his work ethic. He had a really strong work ethic in terms of, being on time for the job, doing the job better than anybody else could do the job. You know, when we cleaned windows, we were the best at cleaning windows. We were the best at stripping floors. And my dad instilled that in me. So whenever I go after something in terms of a business, I'm OD. I'm like, I got to be the best at it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I got from my father. And I also got his musical talent because my father was an upright bass player for Thelonious Monk and a bunch of other jazz musicians.
That's right, yep.
So the music translated over also from him. I didn't learn how to play the piano because I hated the piano, but
Hey.
listen, I hated the piano. Listen, I used to hide from, the piano lessons and stuff. But it translated over into the DJ thing. Mm-hmm. And then my love for the music and all that I got from my dad, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate my dad. I miss the talks. He would show me, how to be a man and all those type of things, and we would do man things and stuff like that. So,
and that's important because we're going to talk about that.
yeah, he was really involved in my life. You know what I'm saying?
a
As
whole
much as
big
he could
issue.
be. So that was the deal, and he used to give me anything I wanted.
So you were a spoiled brat.
100%.
And it shows.
Oh, yeah.
And you
without
are
a
a spoiled.
doubt.
Every day you're a spoiled. Are we sharing screen? Can you double up on the screen so we're side by
Yeah,
side
I
like
can
we
create
did on
something.
the Mega Cast?
I could create something.
Because I'd like to just keep you up there the whole night.
Yeah, I could create something, but go ahead.
All right.
You're up
So
now.
now, while he's doing that, let's rattle off the question of the day once again. Was, with Father's Day just tomorrow, you were supposed to tell us something that your father taught you in the course of your life that still is relevant and makes a difference to you to this day. So the first one came from DR. Don't grow a beard or a mustache because it makes your it hides your facial expressions. People won't be able to see that funny look on your face. All right, that was from DR, which is a male. The next one was, he taught me to be fearless, and that was from JB, female. And to all of you, thank you for sending these in because some of them are really cute and some of them are really poignant. This is from EH, who is a male. He taught me the value of my heritage. Be proud of where you're from. That's really important. And by the way, once again, are we opening the phone lines now? We're going to open the phone lines in 5 minutes. So call in and tell us what you have to say. This one is from LL, female. Educate yourself. A degree and knowledge is something that can't be taken away from you. And that is very important and extremely true. All right. The next one is how... from CJ, which is a male. He taught me how to keep an area clean. All right. This is from DF, who was a female. A man is supposed to protect, lift up, and encourage you. If he doesn't do this, he's not worthy of you. I would agree with that. You want to jump in here, or you busy playing? All right. This is from EL, which is a female. My father taught me compassion and understanding, and compassion and understanding is always the best medicine. Never be late. That's also from EL. From CB, a male. My father taught me endless patience and optimism, no matter what, and no matter how bad things get. And these are all fabulous, by the way. Okay, so we're going to open up the phone lines now. I'm going to read the last floor. If you want to call in and let us know what has stuck with you that your father has said or done or given to you as a piece of sage advice throughout your life that has stuck with you, you can share that with us. From AS, which is a female listener. Love God, heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Okay. And number 10 we're up to. Think 3 steps ahead. And think 5 to 7 times before you speak. And mind your business. That was from WS. The male WS. Now there's one from a female WS. Be careful who you eat from. Now that's a very West Indian thing.
That is totally West Indian.
You know, because I don't know if you know West Indian people. You go to their house, if you're a West Indian mother, the first thing that a West Indian mother will tell her child when they go out is, listen, we're going to this person's house. Don't ask for nothing. Don't eat nothing unless you have my permission. It's a very West Indian thing. And number 11, in life you should carry your own weight. If not, you'll be a burden to someone else and possibly yourself. And we thank you guys for sending all of those things in. And once again, we're going to open up the phone lines now. If you want to call in and talk to us and let us know what has impacted you from your dad, what did he say or give you as a piece of sage advice that has carried you through your life and you still pay attention, possibly even tell your own children at this point. That was the question for Father's Day. And there was also another question, if you want to answer, what kind of dad was your dad? Was he adventurous? Was he a disciplinarian? Was he fun? Do you still have a good time with him? Do you still have a good relationship with him? Call in and let us know. And what's that number, Rocky?
It is 908-242-6234. 908-242-6234.
Okay. And those of you who normally call in the second half of the show, you might want to do that now, because we're not going to have our regular 2-hour show. We're going to keep it short and sweet, because the ladies who are preparing surprises for their husbands, boyfriends, significant others, and the children who are trying to pull something together for their dads, we're going to give you some time to do that tonight and not tie you up on the line for a long time. So, Rocky.
Yes, indeed.
You also wanted to talk about the family dynamic, because, again, there's so much going on in our society, and we've been having so many conversations during the week with regard to the family and how this dynamic is playing out. So, okay, you don't have to get us on. I would prefer that you be a part of the conversation, and he likes to play with the buttons, so he's getting there. Anyway, while he's doing that, we're discussing also the family dynamic, particularly, as I said, with what's happening in the world right now with all the racial differences and everything else. We have been, during the course of the week in our conversation, dealing with the thought of how does the black male fit back into the family, number one, because he's been so disassociated from the family for so many years, not by choice, but by demand, whether it's him being incarcerated and being away from the family, or whether it's a question of social services that cannot be given, because I don't know if you know this, that certain social services cannot be administered to the family if the male figure is in the house. So there are a lot of dynamics that keep the black and brown core family from being together as a family unit. And this is part of the damage that's going on right now and what we see playing out, because there are no defense mechanisms set in. There are no teaching, mentoring mechanisms set in to the black family that are permanent, that we see in other sociological makeups. So
I got something interesting in the chat room that somebody said. I think
Yes.
Laurie said this. A father said, "Be careful where you walk, son." The son said, "You be careful, daddy. I walk in your footsteps."
Lori, Lori, give Lori some hand, girl.
Word up.
Lori.
And that's powerful, because I think as men you have to understand that, you know, once you become a father, you're responsible for actually raising a kid and showing them how to be a man.
That's it.
And showing your daughter or your daughters how a man should treat a woman. Like, you need all those things, all those dynamics are kind of what happens in that. And the family structure needs to be a mom and a dad. I know there are a lot of single dads out there. I also know there are a lot of single moms out there. I'm not saying that you can't raise them. What I am saying is a balance. There is a yin and a yang, and it is a dynamic since the beginning of time that was necessary in order to nurture a child. Now, once again, big shout out to all you guys that had to do on your own, because I know some things ain't ideal.
Yeah, this is
Right?
a
Yeah,
conversation
walk
that we
into it,
always
yeah.
go back.
Yeah.
But before, because I want to really sit
Yeah,
in that for
yeah.
a minute. But before you say that, because I can do that to you now. This is my show.
True.
I want to respond to something. A woman said to me earlier today, well, you keep talking about Father's Day, Father's Day. What about the women who have been raising the children by themselves? Listen, I don't take anything away from you. I am a woman that has raised children with a father in the house and has been divorced and raised children without a father in the house. But tomorrow is Father's Day. Give the men their due.
Right.
Okay? It's not taking anything away from you playing both roles. I've done it. But we have Mother's Day, and they go all out for us on Mother's Day. We have that day. Give the men their day. It's bad enough we don't make a big enough fuss over them. Give them their day. Okay? So let's not, happy Father's Day to all of those mothers who are holding it down. No, it's Father's Day. Give the men, just give the men their day. They deserve it. Right now, men of color need it. They need our support. They need our uplifting. Do you see what's happening out on the street? Show your son what he should be doing for the man in his life, or the men in his life. Okay? Because you can be raising a son and not have a man living in the house, but you can surround that child or those children with male figures that are good, responsible, hardworking, decent
100%.
men. Thank you for giving me the minute to say that. Now let's jump into that conversation. And you guys can jump in with us, call in. We want to talk to you. We want to hear what you have to say. And go, Rocky.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, and Father's Day is Father's Day. I mean, you don't see like dads going, "It's Mother's Day and I'm a single mom, dad." Like that. They don't do that. You know what I'm saying? We just give you Mother's Day. You know what I'm saying? Cut us a little husk here. That's all I'm saying. It's all good. But you need that that yin and that yang. You need that back and that forth.
Ooh.
You need that in order to nurture a child. Or what I'm trying to say, and what I was saying was, I know that some men give you a hard road, ladies. I know. Some, they abandon you. They don't support the kid. All kinds of things happen. I get that part of it. But ideally, what you want to do, what ESP was saying, is you want to surround your kid with, other men, good men, to mentor your son. President Obama was raised by a single mom, but he was.
Listen, I want you to shoot that camera at you. I want them to
I'm
see
on it.
you speaking. You're on?
Yeah, I'm
We're
on.
together?
Yeah, we're
Okay,
together.
good.
Yeah. President Obama, was raised by a single mom, but he was mentored by many men to show him how to be a man and to show him how to be a politician. So that was a big deal, that was going on. So you can do the same thing too. I just think that in society we tend to make the mistake and say, listen, I can raise this boy on my own. Or guys, you thinking you can raise your daughter on your own. I'm not saying you're not capable. I'm saying that there is a natural balance between the yin and the yang. If I was raising my daughter on my own, or my daughters on my own, they'd all be playing football and basketball,
which is not a bad thing.
Which is not a bad.
But there are certain things that a woman needs to disperse, and there are certain things that a man needs to
Correct.
disperse.
There's conversations that I wouldn't be able to have. Like, so you're bleeding, huh? Oh.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to call somebody about this one. Like, I can't have that conversation. There's just certain things that you're just not really capable of doing, and I think that the family structure, in terms of what happened in Black America, right, is a travesty, right? Because what we're really dealing with is we're dealing with modern day sort of slave mentality, right? When we were slaves, we learned the learned behavior was to not honor the man, and the man is weak, and the man was removed from the family and sent to another plantation and all that stuff. And then when you bring it up into the 70s, when welfare came into play, the man could not live in the house with the woman while she was receiving government assistance.
Well, you just leaped like 200 years. You went from one and then just jumped to the other.
Oh, and the reason being is because it's still a mentality that we have today, right? It is a mentality we have today that, I don't need no man. I don't need no woman. You're starting to get that now, which is really interesting because I'm like, all right, where are we going with this, guys? Right? I don't need no man to raise my son. No, you really do. You really do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they're not good moms out there. They've done it on their own. I'm just saying you need the yin and yang. That's all I'm saying.
Sociologically, I think that we all buy into the construct that we're being fed, that not only are we incapable, but we're not worthy, because that's been pushed at us for a while. When in the 70s with the drugs and everything going back and forth, and they were systematically pulling the Black man out of the home, the men of color out of the home. No, I'm going to go back to Black men because that's where it was in the 70s.
In the 70s, yeah.
They purposely pulled the Black man out of the home in order to make the family unit dependent on the social services that were being offered. And they were directly told, as I said before, you cannot get whatever help it was with a man living there. And he was incarcerated. So now you're the men were in another setting where they were locked up for years on minor charges. And then when they did get released, to integrate them back into the society was one thing, and integrating them back into the family because they were not viable as a helpful entity. A lot of women were finding themselves in a position where they had to work things out on their own, or they had to hook up with another guy to help them out, or there are so many levels sociologically that happened. So by the time the guy came back, there was no space for him. And we just constantly, it was a constant repeated thing where men were sociologically forced out of the home, where women started coming to the point where it's like, yo, I don't need you at all because I'm holding down a job. I'm feeding these kids. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. So Rocky, in saying all of that, let's bring it up to date.
Okay.
With all that's happening, because this is where our conversation was centered throughout the whole week. How do we infuse a new health, a new outlook into our families in the community? How do we start rebuilding? What's your insight on where we start the rebuild? Because we're taking a stand right now. We're taking a stand with law. We're taking a stand with government. We're taking a stand in our homes. We've just taken the last 4 months and reset our whole lives. So right now is a new beginning. As a man of color, am I looking this way at you? What would you like to see happen right now? How would you like the construct to be rebuilt in our communities today?
I mean, I think the first thing you have to deal with is a big word that you're saying is community, right? Community does not exist, right? What the saying is, it takes a village to raise
A child.
right? So here we are, we've become an individualistic society, right? I live in my place, you live in your place, we don't connect, we don't talk, we don't do nothing. Where when we grew up in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, the community raised us.
That's right.
The community raised us. And in that community, you had Mr. Goldsmith, and he used to rent the buses, and we go on the trips as a community. If you did something in the community, everybody knew you because everybody knew everybody. I kicked a Volkswagen, a 1973
You gonna
yellow
start.
Volkswagen.
Are you going to start with the 70 mothers we had in the neighborhood?
Man, and they called my mother. By the time I got home, the belt was ready and warm because everybody called my mom and said, your son is kicking the hell out of a 1973 Volkswagen. He's kicking the door. We were doing a relay race, and I'd run, kick the door, and then run back the other way. Matter of fact, it was me and Tyrone Fripp. I'd run down, and we kick the door, and then we run back up the hill, and we was racing. And then by the time I got home, everybody in the community knew that I had kicked this door. Now, now times, right? You don't even know the kid next door to you. You don't know the family next door to you. You don't know the dad. Matter of fact, you don't even know the person that lives above you if you live in a two-family home. Everybody is isolated. We've created the mind your own business, raise your own child. This is what you're going to do. So what's happening? The breakdown in society is the fact that there is no community, right? And without no community, you have no power.
So you don't feel that starts in the home, though, because we got to take care of that little community in our four walls before we can go out into the branch out into the bigger community.
100%. You definitely got to take care of your home, but then you got to reach out, right? I had a epiphany the other day as I was going through Williamsburg, right? And I saw the Hasidic Jews, and we all know that Hasidic Jews are united. We know that they're one, but you know something that they do that's really crazy and it's very subtle.
What's that?
They all wear the same uniform every day.
Yeah, they all wear the same thing.
So
yeah.
guess what? They're always reminded that they are one thought, one mind, one body, one community, 24 hours a day.
Okay,
that is
that's an interesting thought.
Yes, that is a psychological thing.
It is.
Right? That you look like me, I look like you, and we wear the same thing. That is community heavy right there.
Okay.
So I'm
But
just saying.
you know that's not going to happen in the black community.
Correct.
There's no way the two sisters are going to show up and wear the same. You have on those jeans? Oh, no. It's not going to happen. But I get where you're going with that, and that's poignant.
There's a universal unity there.
Yes.
That is always ever present.
So now, okay, let's deal with that because there's a universal unity there that's always ever present. We don't have that.
Correct.
We were taught separatism. The American black was taught separatism through slavery.
Sure.
Keep your mouth shut, stay where I put you, this is where you're supposed to be. How are we going to change these dynamics? And then when we were talking about that, we got off into the reparations thing, which batten down the hatches, we're going to get to the reparations things too, because in our discussion, you made me research a couple of things, and I was shocked to find out a couple of things about this reparation thing. But all right, so the uniformity, I interpret when you said that, it's a question of, it's not so much the dressing, it's a question of knowing their roles through the dressing. And see, in these other communities, they know what role they have in the family.
And it's always a family.
It's always
mom
a family.
and dad.
That's
it's
right.
Mom and
With
dad.
all the little trails of children walking by.
It's mom and dad all day.
So as a black man, because I'm looking to you as a leader,
Yeah.
okay? You're my little brother.
Yeah.
But I look up to you because you're you're one of the strongest men I've ever known. So we sit and chat, and I hear what you have to say, and I look to you for advice. what do you see as the rebuilding? How do you see the rebuilding of the future of our families? As a man that has children, has raised children, has grown children, has small children, what is the component that you are rebuilding the family with?
Well, I mean, the whole part of that is how much time do you actually spend with your kids? Right? We found out a lot of things in this COVID thing, by the way. A couple of my friends found out they didn't even like their kids. Right? Okay. They found, damn, I don't like him. You don't even know him. You know why? Because you haven't spent any time with
Wow.
him. So if you're not invested in simply building your own house, right? And it could be as simple as, you know what? Hey, guys, we're all going to come together and we're going to do the family movie in the house, and we're all going to watch a movie and sit there and watch a movie. Here's the breakdown, right? We don't do family things together. We used to sit down at 6 o'clock and we ate dinner,
Have dinner.
as a family,
That's
right?
it.
And that was us coming together as a community in our own home and sharing food and having manners and keep your elbows off the table and all of that
and
stuff.
learn how to use a knife and
learn how to
fork
use a knife
and how
and
the
fork.
place settings were. And mom and dad used to say, we just sit back and listen because we listen to them chatter, and this is where we get all the information without having to interrogate the children. But here's the deal, folks. Can you get your kid off the iPhone long enough? Can you get him to put down the device long enough to sit down and have a family dinner? What do we do with that?
I mean, that comes down to parenting. You know what I'm saying? That comes down to you really like, you know they're going to throw the fit, and you got to be on some real like, yo, dude, you better just come in, you're going to eat this food, and you're going to do that, and we're going to sit and do that. But if you see, it's hard to break them when they're 15 and they've been doing that all that time. It's a little easier to break them if you're consistently kind of doing that. You know what I'm saying? Not too late to bring it in for the 15-year-old. I'm just saying you gotta bring the family together in some kind of way that you guys are unified as a community at one point of the day or another. It shouldn't be you in one room, you know, the wife is in another room, the kids in another room, and everybody's online. Even if it's this. Now let's become modern. Even if it's, you know what? My son is interested in YouTube. Son, we're going to build a YouTube channel together. We're going to build a YouTube channel as a family. And you become invested in what he's doing. You can also do that. You can reach to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't all too old that we don't understand how to build a YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? You might not want to be playing Roblox, but there's other things that you can do.
But quite honestly, there are kids that are more adept at the technical aspect of their devices than the parents are.
Absolutely.
So they can be, hey, you can learn from them. So your whole point is motivate and do something with the children regardless of what it is.
Correct.
Okay,
You
so
gotta come
that's
together.
that's one of your building blocks.
That's one of my building blocks because you got to get engaged with them. The one thing that I can remember my dad did is he always entertained what I wanted to do, even if he hated it. You know what I'm saying? Listen, he hated the fact that I was a DJ. Let's be clear. But I DJ'd his 50th birthday party. You know what I'm saying? He's the one that brought the turntables. I engaged in that. He was like, why are you scratching the records up like that? I'm like, this is what we do now, Dad. We scratch the record. He didn't get that, but I did his. Because scratching for him was scratching the record.
Yes.
Right? So we did that. You know, and that's how he engaged me. When I wanted a motorcycle when I was 9, he entertained that, and he taught me how to ride a motorcycle.
That's cool.
You know what I'm saying? So he met me where I was at,
Gotcha.
right? And that's what preachers do. Preachers that are good preachers meet you where you're at.
Okay, so now you segue me into the next aspect of the family. Where are we on the spiritual concept, and how, as a father, how do you believe the spiritual concept plays into the family dynamic?
Well, let's just put it in its most basic form. Most basic form. Every Sunday, you got your ass up and you went to church.
Yep.
You put on some clothes. You didn't want to go. You hated it. You didn't want to go to church, but then you had to put on the nice clothes, and you went to church, and then once again, you were in the community.
Some of us didn't hate it. Some
Right.
of us actually liked it.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, I hated it, all right? I hated going to church. But, you know what I'm saying? But I was in the community. I was in the choir. I did stuff in the church, and once again, community comes into play. So I'm not a very religious man versus I'm a very spiritual man, and I'm kind of religious too, but very spiritual. But with you need also spiritual guidance in the home. Some sort of there's a higher being than you that we believe in. Some kind of something that once again that you can come together as a family and do. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize how much church came into play with us. Even y'all remember the church bus ride.
Yes.
You all went on the church bus
and the
ride.
church picnic.
Right, and you went to
and
Pennsylvania
the Christmas
Dutch.
show and all of that.
Right,
yeah.
and all that.
So it was basically
community.
activities of the community and
Activities,
binding together.
yeah.
So you feel that, and I also feel that is a missing point of our communities. But let's step even further back, because before we start building that part of the family dynamic, don't we got to talk about the man and the woman in the relationship? We spoke briefly about the kids. We spoke briefly about bringing the kids together with the family, but how men and women are not connecting anymore.
Right.
What is your positioning on that? And how is the healing? Because you had a lot to say this week on that. How is the healing going to take place?
What
And go.
I don't remember what I said about that. Men and women connecting. Men and women. I mean, here's the deal. What's crazy is we don't really connect anymore. And I'm going to say that to the generation that is below me. I'm talking about the 35-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, right? They don't even know how to ask a woman out to go and get something to eat. Yo, come on, Ma. You want to go do Netflix and chill? This is what they're saying. Netflix and chill is what is it? Is symbolic for we gonna hump. That's what that is, right?
Really?
Yeah. Netflix
I
and
thought
chill.
it was actually Netflix.
Oh no! Netflix
I
and
thought
chill
it
is
was
we gonna go
Netflix
hump.
and
We gonna
chill.
watch movies and hump. That's what that is.
Okay.
Netflix and chill, right? The men, these men, they play video games all the time. They're online all the time. They're not paying attention to their girlfriends. They're not even contributing to the household. I have a guy. He works EMS. He was mad because his old lady was asking him for $300 a month for rent, and he couldn't understand why the rent kept coming up every month. I'm like, dude, you do know rent happens every month, and it's only $300. But he's like, I have my truck, I have my this, I have my that. Now, what happened to him? I can tell you exactly what happened to him. He didn't have a dad in the home. He was raised by a woman. He was never taught to be a man. He was never taught how to be a man, so he didn't understand the responsibilities of actually not being selfish and contributing to the household.
Yeah, okay. That's the fourth time you said this to me this week. And I'm sorry.
Because it's real.
I hear you.
It's real.
I hear you.
He's a real man.
But your boy don't understand that wherever you live, whether it be a mortgage, whether it be a rent, you have to pay to stay there unless you have 100% bought that house outright. You mean to tell me that your boy can't understand that?
Let me tell you something. You know how I
I have
understood
to
that?
look at you this way.
You know how I understood that? Because my mom, when I got a job, used to take money from me every week. That's another part of building a child, right? Your child goes and gets a job. Mom goes, hey, you made $100. You gonna give me 25 of that.
Because you have to contribute to the household.
Because you got to contribute to the house. So if you're conditioned like that from a youth, when you become a man, that transcends into that. If your mom ain't taking your money from you, from your summer job, she is doing you a disservice. And let me tell you what my mom used to do. She would save the money, and then when I went to go get my school clothes, she gave me all the money that she took from me.
That's it.
And
that's what I do with the kids.
That's right. So that's also you teaching them responsibility. This dude was never actually taught responsibility. He has been always buying things and not contributing to his own household.
But sweetie,
There are a lot of people there are a lot of men that are like that. I'm trying to tell you.
how old is this man?
He's like 32, 33.
Come on.
Listen.
You really,
tell you
guys,
something.
call in
I
and
want you to
help me
call in.
out with
Yeah,
this.
come on.
Please call me.
Come on.
Because I can't understand how a 30-something-year-old man, notwithstanding what Rock has already said, can't get the fact that he has to pay rent and bills, and he's upset with his lady because he's got to give her $300 a week for rent. How much was the rent?
No, no,
Because
no.
the rent couldn't have been
No, no.
300
$300 a month.
a month.
Right.
Sorry. Wow.
So they're splitting it, right? It's like $350, right? Because they live with the mom, and it's like a hookup. You know what I'm saying? Like the mom owns the house, and she's just making them. And the mom doesn't live in the house. The mom owns the house, and she's like, "Yo, you gotta give me $700 a month." And dude can't seem to get the concept together.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, and has a good job. Works EMS, so he's doing about $1,600 a week.
Does he give her money for food?
Nah.
Does he give her money for cable, for phone, for
He does
gas, for nothing?
a little bit here, a little bit there.
Here's the problem.
That's why she's cheating, by the way. But go
Because
ahead.
there you go.
Okay, that's why she's cheating. 3 years of this.
My father passed when I was very young, but one of the things that I remember him telling me and my sisters and my brothers is that having a father figure in the house is a protector, is a person who creates organization and creates a control of the chaotic situations that can happen. He always said that is why he remains the head figure and in command of the house. You guys are not going to run around and do what you want to do because I am your father. I know better. I will be the one to tell you what to do. And the minute that you decide to do differently, there is the front door. And I think most of us got somewhat of that conversation as we were growing up, right?
Absolutely.
When you're
100%.
prepared to live on your own and you think you can outthink me as a parent, there's the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now, you have said several things, and I want to shift the thought process ever so slightly. If our men are not in the home right now, and we are trying to rebuild the family dynamic, you ready for it? Here it comes.
I'm ready.
Do you feel that in the systematic separation from slavery all the way through to now, part of this dynamic or a large percentage of this dynamic was caused by the lack of generational funds that were not dispersed to us through the reparations process?
No. And I'll tell you why. I don't think money really has a lot to do with it in terms of your motivation as a person or as a parent. If you are a sucky person when you're poor, you really suck when you're rich, when you have money. If you're a good person when you're poor, you're a good person when you're rich. Your personality doesn't change. So what I do think is the destruction of the family structure is what killed it. Should we get reparations? 1,000,000%. I'm 100% there. But I don't think that that's what's causing. Look at what we're raising. Look at these kids out here.
I asked that question based on the fact that we were just having a conversation with regard to money
Right.
and the separation in the household. And
Well, money will definitely kill the house.
these minor things in other people's heads, but major things in the house, cause a lot of problems. Now, if we were, because we had the conversation with the reparations thing this week, if we were in the position where we had that growth building, wealth building, generational buildup, and didn't have those stresses, do you feel that the black family would have been intact at this point?
Maybe. But I want to say this.
I'm going to let you run now.
The immigrants that come here, the Mexicans, they live, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people in an apartment, and they come together as a community in this one little apartment, and we make jokes. Oh, look at the Mexicans! There's 15 of them in a Hyundai, right? We make jokes about that, but the reality of that is they're putting their little pieces of money together, their little pieces of money, to buy the American dream. So they're in an apartment that's $2,000 a month. There's 15 of them in there, and this is not even an exaggeration. There's 15
No,
of
this
them in
is real.
there, right? And they're all paying the rent, but then they're also building their own individual situation based on the fact that The economic struggle is not a struggle because there's so many people in the house. Now, our problem is, as the black community is, we deal with the economic struggle. We can't come together. You don't see no black families where it's like, it's the granddad and the grandma and the parents and the kids and all that, and they in a 2-bedroom apartment. You're not seeing that. You're not going to see that. But what's the benefit of that? Here's the deal. Guess what? If grandma and grandpa there, you're not paying for babysitting. If grandma and grandpa are there, they are holding the house down while the parents are going out and making a living for the house. They might even be contributing their pension to actually help pay bills. Our economic struggle is based on us being individualistic.
You're speaking right now about the American black, because
I'm speaking about the American
Caribbean black. This is how we were raised. Everybody band together. No, in fact, women don't even leave the house until they're married, and they continue to contribute it if they don't get married. And we watch each other's children, and we take care of the.
There you go.
I took care of my aunts, uncles, mother, and father until they were 90. Well, not my father. Until they were 93 years old, and I closed the casket. But that's the Caribbean way of thinking. And my other side of the family, which is the Asian, my father's side, which is the Asian way of thinking.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to create defined lines. We're speaking about the American black system right
100%.
now. Okay, but again, we come back to Jim Crow thought process, slavery,
100%.
Separation.
Separatism, yes.
They wanted to keep us separated. They wanted us not to have a group thought. They wanted us not to band together. And when we did, we band together. We created places like Black Wall Street.
That's right.
And they burnt it down.
Right.
And they systematically have, every time we've built up something,
destroyed it.
Mm-hmm. So we've got a lot of roadblocks. And everything that you're saying is extremely important. We got a lot of roadblocks. Again, you're a current day black man. So I want to know, as you're going to continue with the story, how you feel that we can correct this. Because I think, and I told you in a conversation earlier this week, that reparations, when I found that reparations information out, that really tripped me out. And let me bring them up to speed as to what I'm talking about. Okay, so in our research, for reparations, slave owners got reparations for their financial losses after the emancipation of Abraham Lincoln. So, and the Juneteenth, we were looking for information on Juneteenth because we were going to do a show specifically on that, and we unearthed this information. Okay, so the enslaved Africans got nothing, but the slave owners got reparations from Lincoln. Okay. Lincoln paid white Union loyalists up to $300 per slave that were freed. The reparations that were made through the District of Columbia Emancipation Act, the largest individual payout under this act was $18,000 for 69 slaves being released. We're talking about in the 17 and 1800s. Do you know what $18,000 was? You might as well have said $1.5 million. Okay. In other cases, slave owners petitioned state and local governments for compensation when their property, slaves, was lost or stolen. Let's take it out of the country. I'm giving you the United States, and I'm giving you one other, and then I'm going to put it back on Rocky and let him run with that.
Haiti was crazy.
France forced Haiti to pay them for decades of Haiti's successful slave rebellion. And we're talking about 1791 through 1804. That landed the island into debt, which was, they up to years ago, they still were paying this off. England paid slave owners in the Caribbean colonies about $26.2 million when they abolished slavery in the 1700s. So if all of the slave owners have gotten paid, all of the slave owners got reparations, African Americans have got nothing. Generationally, their livelihood their generational wealth has been stolen from them. Because had we been given this money and been allowed to build, the children that are now generations down the road of the slaves that were slaves in the United States in the 1700s would have had property and accounts and all kinds of things. We have to address that because there are people who can't even get common loans for cars, much less a personal loan, based on the fact of how they view that community. Mm-hmm. So, coming back now,
yeah,
we wanted to start this conversation in the home and build outwards. But in my research and in the research we did this week, I see that what was outwards has affected the home as well. So again, as a leader, as a father, as a head of household, because we have to now look to our men. We have to now look to our leaders. Where do we go?
Well, first we have to set a goal, right? It's like we're sort of like a goalless people, right? A goalless people. And when I say that, I say that every nationality, once they came to the United States, they set a goal. They set a universal goal. Most recently, the Indians that came to the United States, they had one universal thought, and they set a goal. They said, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get all the Dunkin' Donuts, and that's why you see Indians in all the Dunkin' Donuts. Then the second wave of the Indians that came, they took over all of the do-drop-in hotels. So a lot of the do-drop-in hotels are now, the Best Westerns and all those places, they are owned by Indians. They came together as a community, and they had a goal. They had a goal. Here's the deal. When you do that, now we're building wealth. That's number one. Two, you're showing your children how to be entrepreneurs. You're showing them how to run a business. Guess what? If I own a hotel, my kids are in there making the beds. They're the maids. They're in there from the ground up. They're stripping the floors. They're doing everything to understand how to run a hotel. But we don't create businesses like that. We don't really create businesses like that. You know, we do it from an individualistic standpoint. But if you're in the church, and I'm going to bring this to the church. If we're in the church, and instead of us giving that money to the church, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't give money to the church. I'm saying that the church needs to turn around and go, you know what, guys? We just brought our first franchise. And all of the children in this church this is going to be where they do their summer job. Right? That's not even a lofty goal.
No, that's not.
That's kind of easy, really, for the church to do that. That's not even a lofty goal. Hey, guys, you know what? Y'all been putting in money. After 3 years of y'all putting in money, we have $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to buy a small franchise. We're going to go into business, y'all. And we will continue to buy franchises. We're not just going to buy one Jersey Mike's. We're going to buy 5 Jersey Mike's. And we're going to keep turning that money over. That's how you do that.
But you're talking about mega churches because, listen, the smaller churches, they're busy just trying to keep themselves afloat. I get what you're saying. I think it's a great idea. Mm-hmm. But the reality is they have not finished burning that mortgage yet, and they're trying to pay it off, and they're just eking by. For them to buy an outside establishment is more lofty than we think. But I want to go back and address something that you and I go back and forth about consistently. The Indians with the Dunkin' Donuts, because you bring that up a lot.
Yeah.
Now, let's
like they're all doctors.
Let's explain. Let's look at something. The Black American is the only culture of people that have no homeland.
Correct.
Now, here is why this is important. You see the Indians come to the country. You see them living in their environments and building up, and they buy the little, who is it that buys the little fruit stands, and then they build up, and the Chinese buy the little fruit stand and they build up. What people are overlooking is, yes, they come, they live all together, and they work as a family, and the family is the employees. But what people are not tapping into is they have a homeland. A lot of these people are coming to the United States and getting loans from their own government.
That's true.
To be here. So they come, they make the decision to come, and they send back home and file paperwork. I found a business. I want to buy it. I need $20,000. And their people in Bank of China will issue them a loan so that they can open the business in the United States. We don't have a homeland where we can call and say, Bank of Ghana, lend us money.
We don't have that support.
We don't have that type of support. And that is why you can't mess with their kids. You see, you can mess with our kids that are just walking down the street and happen to have a pack of Skittles in their hand and a hoodie over their head. You can shoot them down because there is no government that is coming to defend these children because they have no homeland. But you try that with an Asian child. You try that with a Japanese child. I'm part Japanese, I know. You try that with an Irish child. They have governments that are willing to come and stand for them. And we don't have that type of backing.
But I will say this, because it's very interesting that you bring that up, right? The black community is supposed to be the poor community, right? Which would be the poor community.
Here we go.
Okay.
You go ahead, boys.
So
Go ahead, boys.
those people that come here, where do they put their businesses and where do their businesses thrive? In the black community. So the state of poor that we talk about is a crock of bull crap. Because guess what? When they come here, they come to the black community because we are the biggest consumers on the planet. We buy, we spend, instant gratification. They're not opening up those stores in rich neighborhoods. They opening up in your neighborhood, and they are building their foundation off of the backs of your money, whether it's welfare or whether you go to work, whatever you do. They are building the foundation off of your backs. Why would they come here? Why would a Chinese person come here and open up a Chinese restaurant in a poor neighborhood? Well, Chinese food is cheap, and guess what? Y'all gonna keep buying it. That's the deal. So the concept that it's not that we're poor, is that we don't know how to spend our money. We're poor at spending our money.
And we discussed this last week. The black dollar stays in the neighborhood for 26 hours, whereas in a Jewish community, that $1 stays upwards of 3 months. In an Asian community, it's near 6 months that an Asian dollar stays within its community. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got to look at how we're spending our money, and we got to look at what we're doing with our money, with our children. Okay, but Dad,
Yeah.
Father,
Yeah.
that we are raising up and lifting up, and we're looking to you for direction, and this is really where I wanted this conversation to go.
Right.
Because as a black woman, as black women, we don't pay our men enough respect. Unfortunately, until something like George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, and until these names are in the news or until something happens again, that's when we realize that our black men are so important to us. And this is something that has to change. As a black woman, I'm saying that this is something that has to change, because we got to love them every day. Not when somebody got their foot on their neck, not when something goes wrong, but every single day. And yes, they make it hard, but we're resilient, and we should keep at it until they understand, you know what, we love you, we're there for you, we need you to come back home, we need you to be a part of the family, and we need to look up to you. I didn't say that has to make you be weak. By no means am I a weak woman, but I understand that when I have a head that is supposed to be a head in my life, when I have a strength that I'm supposed to gravitate to for answers, for warmth, for assistance, for comfort, for leadership. Not all black women can say that they have men around them that are like that.
That's true.
So how do you address that? How do we speak to these women who are tired of the tomfoolery that some of your brothers
100%.
are perpetrating?
Yeah, that's interesting. You know what? If I had to answer to that, I'd have $1 million because that's a tough one because it's a loaded question. I'm gonna tell you why. because because a lot of black men don't make as much money as the black woman, right? In the family. Now, here's a problem. It's twofold. One, the black woman sometimes will look at the man and be like, well, nigga, whatever. But then the guy sometimes cannot deal with the fact that his woman makes more money than him, right? So then they have all these problems with that, and that becomes a big deal, right? Because now you're like, damn, man, she's making 100,000 and I'm making 50,000, and then this jealousy thing starts to happen. Guess what? That's a slave mentality. If your woman's making more money than you, then you should support her and try to do better. Support her. Do what you can. Vice versa. If you're making more money than your man, then you need to support him. Hey, how can I uplift you? How can I do this? How can we do that? Minus some of the tomfoolery that these men do when their woman is making more money than them. And that is a lack of unity. Right?
Okay.
So if I was unified in the situation, I know you make 100, I make 150, but we're gonna make it work because we're $150,000 family a year. Right? And we're going to make it work. But when the money comes into it, then comes the jealousy and the blindness. Now, here's what happens. The woman might run off to find somebody that might be like her counterpart that makes $150,000 like she does. But guess what? Now, what do you have? Here's what you got. And this is how I feel about it. I feel when you make that move, and especially if you make that move on some grimy shit, like you grimy with it, and then you start downing the man in your house, the guy that you get with doesn't really respect you because then he knows that that's how you are. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And
be more specific with that one.
In other words, if you decide that the person that you with, that you married and you love them and so on and so forth, and he is is not really a great provider, and then you go out and you try to find a great provider while still being in that relationship, your next relationship is going to have some problems. Because if you cheated on that dude, the guy that you're cheating with is going to be kind of like, well, you know what? I mean, you did that to him and so what does that mean? What am I to you? And then you had kids with him. So what am I to you? Right? And this becomes this endless, vicious cycle that we have created. And now we're running from person to person to person to person. And what are you finding? Emptiness. I'm not saying there aren't any relationships that have not been successful, but what I am saying is it is an empty cycle of you running on and on and on and on and on, trying to find something that you will never obtain.
So, Dad, having said that,
yeah,
or Father of the Year, because this is the Father's Day show.
Damn right.
Do you think that we're going to be able to work all of this out? Do you think it's possible that the black man, black woman can get on the same level and make that family unit work and come back together again and build something?
Not until you realize that you're sick. You got to realize that you're sick. And that's the problem. You don't realize that you're sick because you're chronic. And when you're chronic, you don't know that you're sick. And here's the sickness. Your sickness is 400 years of slavery.
Wow.
You have a slave mentality. You want to look better than your next door neighbor. Guess what? That happened out of slavery, that we wanted to do that, right? Once we got free, well, on Sunday, I'm going to look better than the Joneses, and Jones going to look better than the Smith, right? And that's where that mentality comes from. You have to understand, when you do not honor your elders, that is an American black slave mentality, because in Africa they honored their elders.
It's true,
right? So we get into this conversation and I say that the American black is its own thing. We are our own thing, American blacks. We are our own thing. We have our own mentality. You know where we started? 400 years ago, as we were bred and we were created, and we are this American experiment that's going on. That's what we are. So if you're going to get right, you got to understand your thought process almost moment to moment. And that is a slave thought. If I see another black man and I immediately do not trust him, that's a slave thought. That's not a real thought. It should be, hey, brother, how you doing? You good? Yeah, man, I'm good. If I don't want to uplift the black man, slave thought. If I don't want to respect my woman,
Thank
that's
you.
a slave thought.
Thank you, because I see
Yeah.
a couple in a
Yeah,
watch party that
yeah.
are going, "What about you guys to
Right,
us?" Okay,
right, that's right.
He's going to address that.
And I didn't even see that because I'm on it like that. You understand what I'm saying? That is a slave thought when you want to disrespect your woman. That's a slave thought that you want to beat your woman. When you want to beat your woman, you're jealous of your woman. That's why you want to beat your woman.
Wow.
When you want to beat your woman, you are not strong.
You better
don't feel
preach.
strong. You understand what I'm saying? That is a slave thought. So until the American black realizes that you have slave thoughts, you can't come together because we've been conditioned to think like a slave from the beginning. And I had to realize this in myself and go, hold on, B, you know what? The way that you think. I remember when I met Lays for the first time, right? And I'm going to use Lays.
I just saw him pop in.
Yeah.
Did he pop out?
He might have. Lays was quite a character when I met him, right? He was quite a character. And he was like a real catalyst kind of guy. If he believed in you, he'd put money into you. And I remember, I would engineer for him, right? And he didn't have a real slave mentality in how he thought about things. His process was really different. He really thought like a white guy to me. He really thought like a white guy. So his thing was not that here's a slave thought. Oh, I got me $1 million. I'm going to hold that $1 million to myself as long as I can. Slave thought. Lays would get $1 million and he would spread it out and we would create an economic loop. That's what we would do to money to keep making money. That was his thought process. So when I first met him, you know what I'm saying, it was almost mind-blowing that he had this mentality because I'd met so many other people in the music industry that were just into, and here's what y'all do, you brothers that are producers, right? Slave thought.
Yep.
You don't want to give your brother that helped you write that song 50% of the publishing? Slave thought. That's not the upliftment. And that's a devil thought. That is a devil thought for you to do that. Anybody that I work with, first order of business, yo, how much publishing I'm getting? Soon as I get the hubba, I hang up because I'm done. Slave thought. That's the deal. So we have to realize as a people that we are chronically sick. Our minds are chronically sick, gang. And when you have that negative thought about another black person, when you turn your face and go, that, or it's a slave thought because other cultures don't do that. They don't do that.
That's true. They join on the bandwagon, throw a party. Oh my goodness, how wonderful!
So that's why we enjoy.
They find it hard.
We enjoy as even artists when we're appreciated by white people. We eat that shit up. They be like, "Oh my God, you're the greatest artist in the world," or any other nationality. You're the greatest artist in the world. Oh my God, you're incredible. And we don't even be doing shit. We just like, yo, I just do that, whatever. Yeah, oh my God, right? and they appreciate us. And we love that, right?
I'm laughing at you because this man loves his microphone, okay?
Because we don't do that to each other.
That's it.
Half of y'all in this room don't know who Melly Mel and Grandmaster Flash is, or half of the people in hip-hop, let me just put it like that, don't know the elders of hip-hop. Slave thought. Why can the Rolling Stones tour? Mick Jagger has 1 foot in the grave, but Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5 can't get a gig. It doesn't make any sense.
Wow. Okay, Dad. You're going into next week's show.
I'm sorry.
All right.
But let me
really,
reel it in.
Bring it in
reel it
because we did promise that this was going to be a short show. We already pushed an hour.
Yeah, it got good. Though.
I knew if I let you be the dad online, you'd take it there, and it's wonderful. So if anybody wants to call in and ask any questions or add anything to the conversation, please do it now because we did promise we were going to keep it in line for everybody to get back into the Father's Day thing.
But
go, Dad.
I just want y'all to know you got to make sure that you control your slave thoughts.
Yes.
That's it. That's kind of where I'm at with it, really, and if we can do that, then yes, as a black man, as a black woman, y'all can come together and start to build. But you have to recognize that when you have that hateful thought, against your spouse, that's not really you. That's not you.
That's training.
That's
ingrained.
training.
Yep.
That's ingrained in you to do that. It's ingrained in you to do that. That's not the real you. The real you want to see the real you? You go to Africa and you look at what's happening in Africa. And then you will see a glimpse of what you used to be, what you were, because what we are not Africans. Let's be clear. We're not Africans. We might be African Americans, but I tell people all the time, because they said some shit the other day that I didn't like. They said that black people talking about, we're not going to celebrate the 4th of July. Are you kidding? You are more American.
You are.
You
Exactly.
are more American than most Americans running around here talking about they're
But
American.
hon, slavery is older than the United States. The United States of America is what, 1776,
Yeah, so
230,
two and change.
25 years old?
Yeah.
Okay, slavery is 400 years old.
So
We're
you-
older than the United States of America.
So you are American, people. You are American. Stop the foolishness. Get your slave thoughts.
But even
Great.
you said something. I know we're going over.
Go ahead, yeah.
You said something about African American, and this has been a pet peeve of mine for years. African American was a phrase brought forward by Jesse Jackson in 1985 to describe another sector of the American population. We are not according to them, we're not citizens. It's in the Constitution. We're not citizens of the United States because of what is written in that proclamation, number one. And we're not African because Africans don't recognize us as being an African. So we are black people who they decided to call in 1985 African American. If that's something that you want to adopt, fine. That's not something that I want to adopt. But I want to bring it in with last words from our dad. And let's tie this up because we're going to keep a promise.
Guys, here's the deal. Enjoy your Father's Day tomorrow. Have a good time. Smoke a cigar. Drink your favorite drink. If you smoke weed, roll yourself a blunt. Have a little fun. And enjoy yourself and have a happy Father's Day. And also, you know what? Take a little time, you guys, to really honor your own fathers. You know, good, bad, or indifferent, right? And I know a lot of us have had dads that are absentee dads, and maybe they weren't really good dads. But regardless of that, they are your dad. You know what I'm saying? And just, you know, take that moment, that 5 minutes ago. You know what? This dude gave me life, and then it was kind of a zero after that. He did give me life, but happy Father's Day, whatever. Right? And the only reason why I'm telling
boy.
you that is I'm trying to get you out of the slave thought. You know what I'm saying? Don't be bitter. Don't be bitter. Don't be bitter. If you can't let go of your past, how can you have a future?
That's it.
Right?
Too busy dragging it.
You're too busy dragging that weight around. My father did this to me. My mother did this to me. And you 35, 40 years old talking that stuff. Listen,
It's time to rebuild. It's time
it
to
is
move
time to
forward.
rebuild and move forward, y'all.
And
So
then-
enjoy your Father's Day. Go ahead, ESP.
And then that note, remember to be willing to be teachable because you aren't always right. With much, much love and much care, we wish every father that listens a happy Father's Day. For those who have passed on, we honor and respect you as ancestors. We love you for watching. We love you for listening. And we'll see you next week at 6 p.m. or 7
Go
p.m.
for 7. Go for 7.
At 7 p.m. on ESP Speaks with the merge of The Real Discussion with Rock Logic. He's just all over the place. Have a great Father's Day. Say goodnight, Rocky.
Good night, Rocky.